What is going on, guys? It's your boy Luke here for our round two showdown picks for this year's Arnold Palmer Invitational. We're going to be going over the weather, my player pool, whether there's going to be an edge to the morning or afternoon wave, some GPP strategies, your live questions, essentially everything you guys need to know for tomorrow. You can see there's already a few people down in chat. He says, will Decky make the cut? He's within the cut as of right now. So if he goes out there and has an above average day, I sure as heck think he will. So I'm hoping for that. I have him in quite a few of my lineups. We'll go ahead and hop right into the review for tomorrow, which we're going to need to focus on weather first and foremost. It is going to be a huge part of your lineup making for Friday because in the morning, we're looking at very similar conditions to today. We had 2 to 4 mile an hour winds the entire day, morning and afternoon, and you saw the players take this place apart. And I say that with kind of a grain of salt because the scoring average was still over par. Of course, you had guys like a Billy Horschel, Rory McIlroy as well, take the place relatively low, but you still had your fair amount of blow-up holes. But now if we take a look at the afternoon, it starts to kick up. You get 8 to 10 miles an hour as soon as midday. And by the middle of the afternoon, a majority of the afternoon wave will be playing in this time. You have 10 to 12 mile an hour winds. That usually implies about 15 to 20 mile an hour gusts. These are the sustained wind numbers right there. And anytime this gets above 10 is usually when we start to see havoc out there, carnage, particularly at some of these more difficult golf courses. Let's go ahead and take a look at how it played today, keeping in mind that tomorrow it's going to play much more difficult in the afternoon. It played to a scoring average of nearly 0.3 of a stroke over par. If we separate it by wave to take a look at the morning and afternoon, you can see that was heavily favored towards the afternoon, where the scoring average was nearly half a stroke over par. Now, the wind didn't change throughout the day, so that might beg you to question, why did we see the difference? It comes down to the greens. They get firmer and faster as the day goes on, and as the broadcast came on right around 2 p.m. Eastern time is when you could start to really hear the greens whenever balls were hitting them. In the morning, they were extremely receptive. Players were able to put tons of spin on golf balls, even with like 6 to 7 irons. You saw that in plenty of the par threes. That was not the case in the evening. They started to release out. And that, of course, is going to be a trend of things to come. As this golf tournament will progress, you will see that effect only get worse throughout the week. So I expect a scoring average for the entire day tomorrow, probably to be close to this 0.48 shots over par, but particularly towards the afternoon, when we start to get that wind right around noon Eastern time, you're going to see the scoring average perhaps go upwards of 1 or even 1.5 strokes over par. And we don't have the pin locations as of right now since we're doing this very soon after the round ended. But if they put a few devilish pin locations out there as well, could end up being in for quite the ride tomorrow afternoon. So as of right now, I know somebody mentioned the cut line before. Let's go ahead and just hop into it. You can see the predicted cut line is +1. That's the most likely of the 3 numbers up here. But given the wind for tomorrow, I would favor +1 or even +2 in that circumstance. The data that Data Golf uses for this projection doesn't really take weather into mind. It takes a look at past years' performances, of course, the performance from round 1, and kind of conglomerates them together. I obviously don't know their exact process, but from what I've seen over the years, seeing these cut line projections and how they're made, that's how they do it. So I'm expecting it to be +1 or maybe even +2 tomorrow. If we end up getting just absolute carnage, say the scoring average is close to 2 over par, we might even see 2 or 3 over par. I wouldn't count on that though. I'd be much more willing to take something in that range right there. Let's go ahead and hop over to the player pool now. So with all that in mind, who are going to be the plays that we're looking at? So first and foremost, we're going to be trying to stack tee times. So we'll be talking a lot about tee times when we talk about this here, but we'll also be trying to target some of the more aggressive players as we usually do in Showdown. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about some of the comments down in chat. Matthew says, what's going on? Billy Ho looking great. Yeah, my outright looking pretty good as of right now too. Matthew said, destroy the under on hole 16 today. Yeah, dude, it was way too easy. I ended up winning about $500 on prize picks today. And that was despite only going 4 or 5 on like all my cards. I put in 5 cards. A bunch of them were the hole 16. I ended up getting burned by somebody on hole 16 on all my cards, but so yeah, still a great day. Yeah, there's a reason why it's not on the board for today. They got killed on it. 80% of players made birdie or better on that hole. So yeah, they took a licking there, that's for sure. Cash says, easy pins today. I think it will play much more difficult in the next 3 days with the exception of tomorrow morning. Yeah, so tomorrow morning, it's still going to be gettable. It's going to be very similar to today. But as soon as that happens right around midday, it'll be 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, 12 a.m. Eastern time. Whenever the hell that storm comes in, this place is going to completely be flipped on its head. It's going to look like a completely different golf course. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Joe says he can't stay, but appreciate you stopping by, Joe. Thanks for coming by and showing some love. All right, let's go ahead and talk about these players because it's going to be an interesting situation. Like I said, there's going to be a huge difference between the morning and the afternoon wave. That is not baked into these projections. These projections are just algorithmic based, what I do week to week. So we need to keep that in mind, right? You're going to see bonuses to these plus and minus based on the morning and afternoon wave. And really the only guys up top we have to worry about playing in the morning. We know John Rahm's playing in the morning. Victor Hovland will be as well. Who else do we got? We got Mark Leishman will be playing in the morning. Terrell Hatton will be playing in the morning. Same thing with Billy Horschel and Jason Kokrak will be playing in the morning. So same thing with Paul Casey. Outside of all of those players, the rest of them are going to be playing in the afternoon, which is going to be an issue. It's people like Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Hideki Matsuyama, Will Zalatoris, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Adam Scott. All of them are going to be playing in those difficult conditions. And while it's still possible they go out there and have a solid round, something like 3 to 4 under par, we're looking for ceiling performances when it comes to Showdown. We're looking for probably at least 4 to 5 under par tomorrow from all 6 of your players to take down the large field contest. And in reality, pretty much all of those are going to come in the morning wave. So it's one of the rare slates where I'm going to have at least 80, 90% of my player pool only playing in the morning. So keep that in mind. Most of the yeses on the board here are going to be playing in the morning outside of just a few exceptions. Keith Mitchell is somebody who I have down as a blank just because he's not playing in the morning. An exception to the rule would be Max Homa, who I do have down as a yes, but you'll see pretty much the entire board here is that. Let's go talk about the guys up top. So John Rahm, he was number 1 in the field today, once again in shots gained approach. Off the tee was pretty solid as well. But he was dead last in putting. It's pretty much a meme at this point. The guys turned into Luke List, Sergio Garcia, Keegan Bradley, whoever the hell you want to name from Team No Putt. John Rahm is becoming the captain of that team, and that is not a good thing. He's one of the better putters in the world. I mean, we know that. Bermuda grass isn't really his specialty. You can see he's still a gainer on the surface, but surfaces like bent grass, the bent POA hybrid, or even just pure POA are better surfaces for Rahm. So it's not that surprising that he had an off round with the putter, but if he does that for 2 or even 3 rounds this tournament, then that's going to be surprising. We should expect that to rebound. A lot of his putts today were just a little bit too aggressive. You could tell he really wanted to make putts. He was getting all of them past the hole, of course, except for number 7, where he literally tapped it about 1 inch. And if it weren't for that one putt, he shoots under par today. And I think that really would change a lot of people's sentiment on his round. He even said it himself. 1 under par looks a whole lot better than even par at the end of the day. And I think a lot of psychology is going to go into that. You can see I have him projected as one of, if not the lowest owned guys up top. A lot of that comes down to price tag. He is a lot more expensive than the guys up top. A lot of the guys here in the 9K range were a lot more expensive at the beginning of the week. But I'll be going back to him. The ball striking has been there, right? He's been number 1 in shots gained approach, or I believe 4 of his last 8 rounds on tour. But he's also been dead last in the field in putting in at least 2 of those 8 rounds, if not more. I'd have to go back and double check. But he's definitely been on the plus side of the approach play, which I like to see. So he at least hasn't broken down his swing. Next up, we have Victor Hovland, who I did fade for 4-round contest. He had an okay round today, kind of saved himself with a few chip-ins. Also did pretty well with the flat stick. But in general, I like the course fit here. I think he's an aggressive player. In Showdown, he has the type of skill set I'm targeting. People that are good off the tee, that have that approach play. And the reason why I'm not playing him in 4-round stuff is I think the around the green play is going to catch up with him, right? We've seen that from time to time. He's arguably the worst around the green player on all of the PGA Tour. But in Showdown, when we're hoping for a ceiling round, you don't have a ceiling round by missing a ton of greens. You go out there, you hit 14 or 15 greens, you make a fair share of putts, and that's how you get to that type of performance. And of course, around the green pretty much doesn't matter when you're only missing 3 greens on the day. So that's why I'm willing to give him a pass here on Showdown. He will be playing in the morning as well. A few fades. I mean, we're talking about Rory McIlroy. He's also going to be like 40% owned. He's also playing in the afternoon. Scotty Scheffler, he's also getting some ownership. Will be playing in the afternoon. Hideki, I'd consider playing him just because he has incentive to go and shoot 3-4 under par because he's right on the cut line right now. But I'll be fading, and the same thing with Will Zalatoris. Also be playing in the afternoon. Let's go ahead and go down to the 9K range. A few guys I will be playing. You see, I still have Sungjae Im in the lineups, even though he will be playing in the afternoon. The real differentiator here is that he's good in the wind. He's played well in the Honda Classic before. He shot 5-6 under in 20-25 mile-hour winds in the past. He's kind of known for that ability. So I will be taking him there. I'm worth taking a shot on, particularly because he's only $9,400. Mark Leishman, though, somebody I have projected even higher. Somebody, of course, At the beginning of the week, I loved Mark Leishman to begin with. He was a core pick for us. I like the fact that he had a solid round today. I also like the fact that he'll be playing in the morning. Matt Fitzpatrick, he had a bad round today. He'll also be playing in tough conditions. The issue and the change between Sanjay and Fitzpatrick, because Fitzpatrick's also an excellent wind player. He's from England, used to those type of conditions. We've seen that in the past. He didn't have a good first round, right? So he doesn't really have any of that positive momentum going. Terrell Haddon and Billy Horschel also will be playing in the morning. Billy Horschel, my favorite play on the slate. I mean, I told you guys that at the beginning of the week. I bet him to win. I thought a win was going to be coming soon, if not this week, next week at the Players' Championship. So if he doesn't win this week, I will be betting him next week as well. And hell, even if he wins this week, I'm probably betting him next week as well. I'm going to be on him once again. Just looks in complete control of his game. And even at the Honda Classic, where he had that really rough round 2, he shot 5 over par. A lot of that was just unlucky. I mean, he missed a ton of putts that he usually doesn't miss. He had a few penalty shots and hazards that could have really gone one way or the other. I'm willing to give him a pass for that, as I am for most people that played over there at the Honda Classic. Adam Scott will be playing in the afternoon. I don't like that. He also doesn't have a driver in the bag. I don't know if you guys saw that. If you watched the broadcast, I'm sure you heard it 5 times. But he doesn't have a driver in the bag, only has a 2-wood, and it caused him trouble on at least 6 holes today. Every time it caused him trouble, I went down in the Discord and bitched about it because from a strategy perspective, it is probably the worst thing you can do. He mentioned after the round that it took away the quote-unquote temptation of going to hit the driver. You just got to have self-control, Adam. I mean, you're a 40-year-old man. You should probably be able to control your strategy when you're playing a sport. I'm just going to leave it at that. It's frustrating. These guys shouldn't be acting like middle schoolers that can't have the cookie jar around or they're going to eat some cookies, right? That's literally how he's treating his driver right now. And he's a prolific driver of the golf ball. It's one of the things that he does well. So I don't understand it. I don't understand why he's hiding the cookies from himself. Paul Casey here at $8,700. He'll also be playing in the morning. The issue is he's going to be really chalky because he did get off to a relatively good start. He was chalky in 4-round contests. I like Jason Krokrak a lot more. That's the main reason I'm fading him here. I can't play everybody in this 8K range. I do also like Sam Burns, who looked pretty sharp today, a lot sharper than he had over the last 3 events. And Max Homa, who of course was the leader about 2.5 hours into the round today, but his ball striking numbers were out of this world. He hit 5 shots to less than 6 feet today. Of course, was able to make all of those for birdie. I love seeing that. He's an aggressive player to begin with, but he's absolutely dialed in with those wedges. All right, let's go ahead and catch up on some chat, guys. Corey says, hello, I'll be back making some burgers real quick. Hey, you're cooking some burgers up? I got some Uber Eats wings coming on the way whenever we finish this up. Sounds good to me. Let's keep going down this player pool, though. At the bottom of the 8K range, Justin Rose had a really rough day today. He'll also be playing in the afternoon, so I don't think you need to look his way. Taylor Gooch will be playing in the afternoon, but much like a Matt Fitzpatrick, much like a few of the other good win players in this field, he's from Oklahoma State. He's shown that ability in the past. Looked really good at the RSM Classic when they had that really windy day on Thursday. So I like him at $8,100. Maverick McNeely. Let me double check on the tee time with Maverick. I'm not 100% sure there. I have these tee times up on another slab. Yeah, he'll be playing in the morning. He has a 7:32 tee time. So I like that with Maverick. Really good course fit as well. Let's move a little bit further down the board. Sergio will be playing in the morning. He made a ton of birdies today, just made a ton of mistakes to offset it. I believe he had 5 birdies on the day, but still shot 3 over par. So that could go another way. Right? If he cleans it up tomorrow, could be excellent, right? Could go out there and have the round of the day. Of course, you could go out there, make all those mistakes, but not make the birdies this time around and have a really bad day. So if you're looking for a GPP flyer, somebody who's going to be low owned but has really high upside, I think Sergio Garcia is your guy, particularly because he's playing in the morning, the easiest conditions. Cam Young will be playing in the afternoon, but this kid's legit. I mean, today he started off a little bit rough. I believe he was 2 over par through a few holes, but he ended up 3 under par by the end of the day. The kid was just mashing driver out there in almost every single hole, hitting almost every single fairway. The wedge play was excellent. The really only thing that held him back was the around the green play. He had a few flubbed chips and whatnot, but much like a Victor Hovland, that's why I'm willing to give these guys a pass that aren't so good around the green. Is you don't have to be good around the green when you're hitting almost every single green. When you're putting up a ceiling performance here in DFS, you're not worrying about that. So I'm willing to give those guys even more of a pass in this scenario. Cameron Tringali, he shot like 8 over par today. You probably don't want to play him, and I'm very glad to see that. He's probably my least favorite player on tour. Tommy Fleetwood will be playing tomorrow morning. I faded him in 4-round contest. He looked not very sharp today at all. But the one thing about Fleetwood is that he's no stranger of going low. We've seen that from Fleetwood. He's a madman out there, extremely aggressive, can get really hot with the putter. He will be playing in the morning, which is the better side of the draw. I believe he has one of the earliest tee times too. I'm going to go ahead and check on that. Let's see. When is Fleetwood teeing off? I know it's in the morning. It might be a little bit later into the morning. I might have been mistaken there. All right, yeah, it's towards the later parts in the morning when he's teeing off. It's right around. Wait, no, maybe it's the first tee time off. Did I skip over it? Yeah, he's the second tee time off, 7:21. Sorry, I missed over that. That's good. That's going to be another reason to play Tommy Fleetwood for tomorrow. Moving a little bit further down, we have Seamus Power, who shot 80 today, which I told you guys I was fading him going into the week. I hope that he went out there and missed the cut. Could not have gone better, right? For him to go out there and shoot 80, hopefully he does it again tomorrow. So nobody wants to play him next week at the Players Championship. We get him at like 75-1 to win in the outright market. We get him at like $6,500 or something like that. And I'll play like 50 to 60% of Seamus Power next week. That plan is coming together. So I'm looking forward to that. Don't play him in Showdown tomorrow. The guy was an absolute head case today. He lost 7 strokes from tee to green today. He lost 2.5 strokes off the tee. He lost 4.6 strokes on approach. That's hard to do, guys. That's not something that you can do very easily. Gary Woodland and Corey Connors, I also like playing. Corey Connors will be playing in the morning. I believe Gary Woodland as well. I'll double check on that. Both of them solid ball strikers, people that are aggressive by nature as well. I'm just double checking here on Gary Woodland real quick, who I'm almost positive will be teeing off in the morning. Oh, I might be wrong about that one, but let's double check. All right, I must have been mistaken about Woodland. He might be teeing off in the afternoon because as of what I've been seeing right now on the tee sheet, it doesn't look like he's in the morning wave, but it is the case for the other guy there. Don't have to worry about that. We do know that Corey Connors will be teeing off in the morning. His ball striking looked pretty solid today. It was actually the putter that escaped him. We know that over the last 2 to 3 months, the thing that's actually been a bright spot for Corey has been that putter. It's been the ball striking that's been eluding him. So if he can get back to that putter that's been there, the ball striking looked a lot better today, like I said. Could definitely convince me to play some Corey Connors. Gary Woodland, I'll still be playing even if he's playing in the afternoon wave. Just high upside player. He's a madman, loves making a ton of birdies. And last week at the Honda Classic, the wind didn't really affect him all that much. He played pretty well in those conditions. He had a ton of fairways, a ton of greens in regulation, just couldn't buy a putt for his life. So much like a Matt Fitzpatrick, a few of those other wind players, somebody I'm willing to give a pass there. Chris Kirk is that same build. He'll also be playing in the afternoon. But he's also somebody who's shown a lot of success in Texas in some of those windy conditions. Valero Texas Open comes to mind. And also down here in Florida, he's done well at the Honda Classic, i.e. last week where we had those windy conditions. So tons on the track record for Chris Kirk where he's done well. Lanto Griffin makes some sense. He'll be playing in the morning. Same thing with Eric Van Rooyen. Keegan Bradley will be playing in the afternoon, but he has an immaculate course history here. Also somebody who's really solid in windy conditions, is able to manipulate his ball flight quite well. Siwoo Kim will also be playing in the morning. He had a really good round today. Same thing with actually Sahith Theegala is playing in the afternoon, but very similar story, able to manipulate that ball flight. Moving down a little bit further, we have Sebastian Munoz, who I'll definitely have to double check on Sebastian. He's actually somebody I do think is playing in the afternoon, but let me go ahead and confirm that for you guys. Yeah, it's looking like Sebastian's an afternoon tee time. He's actually somebody I may change to a fade just because I think he'll be a little bit chalky. He was kind of everybody's model play going into the week. Everybody that was looking at some of those long irons loved themselves some Sebastian Munoz this week. So we'll have to see on that. I'm going to change this to a blank as of right now. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with Sebastian Munoz because, of course, I'm a modeler myself, right? I look at all the stats. I understand why he's a good play. But 8.6%, I mean, that's a pretty healthy amount of ownership right there. Sam Ryder at $7,300. Let's see. He's an all right play, but he'll be teeing off. He'll be a little bit chalkier than he should be. I believe he's also teeing off in the afternoon. Troy Merritt, very good course fit. Had a decent day today. He unfortunately has the wrong side of the draw. Lee Westwood, same story. Just guys you would take a flyer pick on, if anything. A few plays that I really like down low that I'm really trying to target. Carlos Ortiz is an absolute madman. He's really good in Showdown because of his birdie or better percentage. I like the fact that he's a solid gainer on Bermuda grass, also in the right side of the draw. A few guys down low we could consider. Aaron Wise also has the right side of the draw. He's at $7,000, also relatively good in windy conditions. So even if the end half of the morning, let's say around 10 a.m., it ends up blowing in terms of the wind, he'd be able to live through that because he's shown a lot of success in windy conditions in the past. Ian Poulter's another guy who's pretty solid in wind. I believe he's teeing off in the morning, though. So much like an Aaron Wise, if he's going to get hit by the wind, it's going to be for like an hour at most. Lucas Glover, same story, also teeing off in the morning. Cam Davis, I believe, is teeing off in the afternoon, but he's an absolute madman, somebody who loves going low. Patton Kazire will be going off in the morning. He looked really solid today. In fact, it was his birthday today, so happy birthday, Patton. But also somebody we're looking at for Showdown tomorrow. Same thing with Brendan Toddy, also teed off in the afternoon, had a relatively solid round. Will be teeing off on the right side of the draw. Taylor Pendrith is on the wrong side of the draw, but he's a bomber. I like the fact that he's volatile, willing to go out there and make a ton of birdies. He actually had an eagle today, which was pretty cool. Patrick Rogers is teeing off in the morning, $6,700, decent putter. Almost made an albatross today. He hit the flagstick, and I really thought it was going to drop, but ended up having a tap-in eagle. Can't really beat that. At the bottom of the board, Cameron Champ. This guy might win the golf tournament this week. I told you that going into the tournament yesterday. He's going to have that one tournament in a year where he gained 6 strokes on the greens. And to this point, he's gained a stroke on the greens. It hasn't been quite the prolific level that I was looking for, but he's long off the tee. The wedge game is actually pretty solid for Cameron Champ. So if he can turn that flat stick and continue that for the rest of the weekend, I like his chances to contend, not let alone just be a good play in DFS. So I'll definitely have him over here at $6,600. I'm considering even firing an outright bet on him. He's at -2 right now, so he's a good ways back, but he has a ton of firepower. Could easily move up that leaderboard in a hurry. Hudson Swafford, I love the fact that he's been aggressive of late. Of course, the modeling loves him as well because of that win at the Amex. Doug Gim's a very solid ball striker, always somebody I'm looking for in Showdown. He just needs to turn that putter, and he tends to do that. He's a pop putter. When he gains with the flat stick, it's usually 1 or 2 strokes in a round. He's not somebody who's going to go out there and hardly gain with the putter. When he has that thing working, he's going to make his fair share of putts. But most times, he's going to be a really dog shit putter. So that's why he's a loser on the surfaces for his career. Rory Sabatini's worth a few looks. Vince Whaley, same thing. Just high birdie or better percentage. The kind of guys that I'm looking for in a Showdown type of build. Davis Thompson, same type of thing. We haven't seen very much of Davis Thompson, but anytime the guy plays, he makes a ton of birdies. So I like to see that for Showdown. And he also was the first-round leader at the RSM Classic. So he's done it in windy conditions before. It was about 10, 20-mile-an-hour winds for that first round of the RSM Classic, and he took that place pretty low. He was at the Plantation course, though, so he had a little bit of wind coverage. I will at least give him that, but he's still dealing with a little bit of wind. Hayden Buckley, the numbers, absolutely love the guy, so I'm going to take a few shots on him. Adam Schenk also gets the right side of the draw, an aggressive player. Adam Long, he doesn't get the right side of the draw, but like I said, when he makes cuts, this guy usually ends up contending. So would be willing to take a shot or two on him. Kevin Tway has the right side of the draw. He's worth a few looks. And David Lipsky, the last man in the field. You can see he's a late ad. Don't have the metrics imported for Lipsky because it happened so late. They put him at $6,000. So he's for sure going to be in my player pool. He's playing in the morning. He's a much better player than all of his peers down here at $6,000. And if I were to actually price Lipsky, it would be at least in the bottom of the 7K range, if not something closer to like $7,400, especially based on how he played today. I mean, at one point was 4 under par through like 7 holes. He was near the lead. He's a good ball striker. He played really good at Congaree, which is a comp course that I'm using for this week. So definitely something that I'm taking a look at. Let's go ahead and catch up on some of the chat. Did I see the Corey Connors topper? Really felt for him. I did see that. It was hilarious. The cameraman, I don't know if you heard it, laughed. Like he couldn't hold back from laughing. So yeah, I laughed a whole lot too. Matt says Ricky and Patrick Reed looked okay today. I agree they looked okay today, but we all know it could completely collapse in on itself tomorrow. So I'm not going to be playing either of them. I think it could be a little bit of fool's gold, but I'm happy to see it. Right? I don't like Patrick Reed. I take that back. Not happy to see Patrick Reed doing well. He's a cheater. I hope he misses the cut, ends up losing his tour card, honestly. But Ricky Fowler, would love to see him play well. And any possible way to add each golfer's current score for the end of the round? Yeah, I will. Yeah, I can do that. I usually do it for Saturday and Sunday Showdown just because of the cut line. See how close people are to the cut line, how much room they have to make up on a Saturday because it is moving day. On Sunday, of course, with the placement points, it matters. But I'll start doing that for Friday Showdown. If that's something that you guys want to see, for sure. That's for sure. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Draftkings screen here. Let's do that. All right, so we have DraftKings up here. Let's see, we have another comment down chat. Ali says, "Are you surprised by Han?" Not really. It's a 3-under round. Wasn't anything special. Even guys that are in bad form can shoot 3-under. I mean, look at Graham McDowell. The guy shot 5-under today. Actually, ended up at 4-under par. Anyone can go out there and have a good round from time to time. So not really that surprised by it. Now, if Han ends up having a really good weekend, right, ends up finishing in the top 10 or something like that, then I might be surprised. But as of right now, not that surprised. He's a top end player. The guy was top 5 in the official World Golf rankings at one point. At one point, he's one of my favorite players in the world to play in DFS. I lost a lot of money on him after he won that Arnold Palmer. I started playing him in DFS all the time, and he completely fell off the world. So that's kind of why I'm off of him right now. I've gone through the trials and tribulations with Terrell Hatton. I've seen him go through these upswings and downswings on the PGA Tour. And typically his downswings last a while and typically his upswings last a while. So when we see that good recent form, that's when you want to hop on a Terrell Hatton. And usually when he's playing poorly, you want to stay really, really far from him. So I'm hoping he can get back into form. But yeah, we'll have to see. It hasn't looked very good of late. That's for damn sure. All right, let's go ahead and talk some strategy, though. So like I always like to do here, we're going to make a few GPP lineups. And I always think it's important to note the contest type, right? Because the type of lineups we're making for a large field GPP aren't going to look anything similar to some of the lineups we're making for single entries or cash games for that matter. So let's go ahead and first start off with a large field GPP type of lineup. This is assuming that you're entering perhaps the main GPP or at the very least one of those with at least 5,000 entries. And in these type of contests, we're trying to take a more contrarian approach. We're trying to beat 20 to 30,000 other people. And to do so, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. So the thing to note there is ownership needs to be limited. A lot of that ownership, I'm going to be trying to differentiate down low because there are guys up top that I really like. So John Rahm, of course, somebody I'd consider taking in these large field tournaments, especially because I think that he'll be sub 15% owned. But I'm going to start to go a little bit lower. We're going to try to make a more of a balanced lineup. I'm trying to do it a little bit more with the ownership stance. So let's go ahead and start our lineup with Billy Horschel. We're going to be able to take somebody more expensive than him, but he's my favorite play for tomorrow's slate. So I want to go ahead and knock that right here early. You can also take Mark Leishman. I like his hot putter. I like his chances of going out there and posting something real low. So that leaves us at $7,900 remaining. I don't want to make this too balanced, right? I think there is something as too balanced of a lineup. You want to be making sure you get into that 6K range, particularly for showdown contests. And a lot of times, if you make a super balanced lineup, you're much more likely to be duplicated. So let's go ahead and try to shake this up a little bit here by taking a Victor Hovland. So by doing that, it lowers that to $7,100 remaining per player. You can see this really isn't all that bad. We're going to be able to make a pretty consistent lineup with that. We're not going to have to dive too low taking in those 3 players. Let's go ahead and put Tommy Fleetwood in here as well. I really like his upside. A lot of these guys are people I faded in 4 rounds, right? The top 2 I didn't fade, but Hovland and Fleetwood were. I do like their upside for tomorrow. Now with that, we're at $6,800. I do like Aaron Wise. I like the fact that he's teeing off in the morning. Had a really solid day with the ball striking. And that leaves us with $6,700. I'm always in, because we're relatively unique here, right? Aaron Wise is going to be relatively low owned. I think that Mark Leishman isn't going to be the most popular play. I also think that Victor Hovland is going to be much lower owned than somebody like a Rory McIlroy or perhaps some of the guys priced around him. So I do think that this could be a unique lineup. I don't think we have to leave money on the table, but to just ensure that we're going to be unique, we're not going to be dealing with any type of duplicates, I'm going to go ahead and leave $100 on the table. So we're going to take Cameron Champ here. Like I said, when the putter gets going for a Cameron Champ, you got to watch out. He can go out there and just blow up a field. He did so at the 3M Open. He had missed like 7 straight cuts or something like that, then went out there and won that event. I'm not saying that he's going to do that here. He's on a similar stretch of golf. Outside of the Genesis, he hadn't really done anything, but I like all the signs. And with this, like I said, you don't have to leave the $100 on the table. If you want to spend all your salary, you could take a Patrick Rogers, right? I'm okay with that play as well. But to be quite honest with you, Cameron Champ actually like more than a Patrick Rogers, and it also ensures that our lineup is likely to be unique. Now let's do a single entry lineup. So with the smaller field stuff, single entries, let's say 100 to 200 entries in your contest, that type of thing, you have to worry much less about ownership. We can just try and take the best plays on the board. It doesn't matter if we have an extremely balanced lineup, because if we're duplicating ourselves with someone else and it's only in 100 to 200 entries in that contest, it's probably only one person you're duplicating yourself with, and so be it, right? You can split first place with 2 people. isn't so bad. But if you're splitting first place with 10 people in a contest that pays 25% of the entire contest payout to first place, then you start to get a little bit pissed off at yourself. So in this type of build, I really do like trying to live in this 9K range. Like I said, Billy Horschel's my favorite play on the slate, so I'm just going to immediately go and click him in there. I also really do like Mark Leishman. And let's try and just make this an uber balanced lineup. So let's go ahead down here into the 8K range. I really do like Jason Kokrak. He'll be teeing off in the morning. Same thing with Sam Burns. So all these guys are teeing off in the morning in single entry. I do think that's probably the way to go. That leaves us at $7,300 remaining. Our next man in could be Alanto Griffin. He's somebody who could be a candidate here. Same thing with Corey Connors. Let's go ahead and take Corey Connors for the upside. He, of course, is a much better ball striker than a lot of his peers. And at $7,100, I think Carlos Ortiz makes a lot of sense. He'll be, I need to double check on his tee time. Let me do that real quick here. So let's see. Carlos Ortiz. There has to be a better way made for this at some point. I got to make a tool that I can just like sort it by tee time, because the only way for me to import these onto the sheet as of right now is to do it by hand. And yeah, Ortiz isn't playing in the morning. So scratch that. We're not going with that. Somebody that will be teeing off in the morning, I know, is Aaron Wise, though. So this is leaving $100 on the table. I don't think you have to do that, but these are just the best plays, in my opinion, on the slate. And what I'd be going with a single entry or a smaller field type of contest. All right, and now let's finish up with a cash lineup. And anytime you're playing cash, I always think you want to take the chalk, but it has to be chalk that makes sense. Just because Rory McIlroy is going to be 40% owned tomorrow doesn't mean you need to be taking him in cash, right? I mean, the guy is probably not the best play on the slate because of that win. So I'm not going to be taking Rory McIlroy in our cash lineup. I will be taking Victor Hovland, though, because of the pedigree, the fact that he's teeing off in the morning. I also really like going to Billy Horschel because of how he's played so far to this tournament. I think Jason Kokrak's probably the safest play here in the 8K range because of his course history. He's also playing better of late than somebody like a Sam Burns. So at $7,400, you go to the top of the 7K range. I think somebody that makes sense is Cam Young. Well, he's teeing off in the afternoon, so let's avoid that. Let's go and let's try and just focus on the guys in the morning because they will have a little bit of an advantage. Maverick McNeely makes sense. We can go there. Yeah, we have enough salary for that at $7,100. Let's go to the bottom of the 7K range now, which I hate taking Aaron Wise in all of these lineups, but the price tag just makes a whole lot of sense. And a lot of the guys priced around him I don't like all that much. So I'm going to add Aaron Wise to the cash lineup. I really do like him in this scenario. And that lets us spend up a little bit at $7,200. And our last man in, let me double check on Troy Merritt's tee time. I believe he's in the afternoon, but it's easy enough to check here. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be teeing off in the afternoon. So Troy Merritt's probably not the best option for us then. Somebody else we can go to $7,100. We can go to Thomas Peters if we wanted to. Probably a little bit riskier than we want. I don't know. It's kind of a dead range, right? We're trying to find an extremely safe play, and none of these names really scream safety to me. So let's go ahead and try and spend up a little bit and actually spend down with our other pick, because I'd much rather get to the $6,800, $6,900 range. I know guys like Lucas Glover make sense. Let's go ahead and just pop him in there. I really do like Glover for tomorrow. He's got good course history. Be teeing off in the morning. Somebody that I do trust at this venue. Let's just get to $7,300. And that lets us get access to guys that I like a little bit more, right? I believe a little bit more in Sebastian Munoz. I know that he doesn't. Let's confirm this. I know I said before I didn't think he was teeing off in the morning, but let's confirm that before I'm just spewing BS because I don't want to be doing that. Let's double check. Yeah, he's teeing off in the afternoon, so he's probably not the best look there. Let's go ahead and just see. That's the thing. At this price tag too, obviously I didn't make this cash night beforehand. I like to go through my thought process with you guys. It's also a dead range. So we have to go down even lower than the Lucas Glover. This is slightly unfortunate. There's other guys down here I do like. Han Kazire makes sense. Unfortunately, he's also $6,900. Let's see, Patrick Rogers. Let's do Patrick Rogers. I do like him. His ball striking looks really good today. The long irons are always excellent for Patrick Rogers. He also has elite course history. And yeah, that lets us get to Lanto Griffin. Lanto Griffin's one of my favorite plays. He had a very solid day today. He's in the top 25. All the modeling looked really good going into the week. Also gets that morning tee time. So this is what we'd go with cash. And of course, there's a lot more thought that goes into cash just because you're trying to take the safest plays. And GPPs, first off, you're entering more lineups, right? I usually only enter one cash lineup for the week, but I'm entering 20 plus GPP lineups at the very least, if not 150, like I'm usually doing. And you don't have to put as much thought into it because you're taking more shots, right? You're able to take a more loose approach to making some of your GPP lineups, but everything you do in cash should be extremely calculated. All right, let's go ahead and touch on some of the questions down in chat, and then we'll hop on out of here. Let's see what we've got. So now says, nice to see Rory up top again. Absolutely agree. The guy is an absolute stud. The game is in a better place when Rory's playing well. Also, when Jordan Spieth is playing well, the game is in a better place. And of course, when Tiger Woods comes back, the game is going to be in a much better place. But nice to see that. All right, we're going to hop on out of here, guys. I do have food coming soon, so I'm going to make sure I can get to the Uber Eats driver. Good luck with all of your lineups for tomorrow. We're going to be doing the same thing at 7 p.m. Eastern time, so look forward to that for Saturday and Sunday Showdown. If you're looking for prize picks content, I'll have that coming out in about an hour. So look forward to that. Good luck again, guys, and let's get this cash.